Well, I'm sitting locked up in a flat. Before, I was totally focused on work. Now I have more free time and I entertain myself with activities that I can do at home. Stress has risen, of course. We wake up in a new reality. You realize that you have to constantly take this new reality into consideration. You constantly think about it, constantly keep these social distances, sterilizing hands, sterilizing everything. You cannot actually live without it.
Let me tell you, I have three children. My husband and I have to work online. All the outdoor activities and children's educational activities also moved into the house. My three are playing music. Now they are all at home arguing for the instrument, then argument starts over gadgets. You have to revise the whole structure of your work, and this at the expense of your sleep, of your rest time. This isolation is awful in terms of managing activities and time in a small space with five people always together.
Generally, I feel that the pandemic hasn't really changed my life, except perhaps in two ways. First, I suddenly started noticing a lot of scared people around me. At the same time, I got a lot of free time. Although I'm a sociable person, I like to spend time alone. I can't complain. I feel rested and cheerful.
A large part of my life is my work, and this situation has affected women's rights a lot. Before the virus, if women told themselves, I can get back on my feet, now they think that they won't be able to find a job. We have had so many calls from women who were victims of violence during the lockdown, and to them the situation looked even more desperate.
I did see some temporary changes when we were first allowed to really go out. I noted that my friends reacted to certain things differently than before. Some are now scared of sounds of cars or are not comfortable sitting in pubs hearing the noises of other people anymore.
A terrible surprise was the intolerance and anger we had toward the infected people. We posted their photos in the social networks, blamed them for being in contact with others, for going to the shops as walking dangers. We didn't support them, just blaming. On the other hand, my colleagues from different organizations bought meals and medicine for lonely old people and left it outside their homes.
We have a lot of volunteers who are willing to work. I decided that if the virus gets out of control, I will volunteer too.
Things have changed differently for different people. The people who were lucky and have not lost their jobs are mostly complaining when it will end. Yet, for people whose income depends on whether they are able to leave the house or not, I think this situation is much more difficult. In fact, a large part of the society may come to the brink of starvation. But I think acts of solidarity have increased in the society.
I think emotional development is essential to a people's sense of human rights. People accept unfair rules and laws because of a lack of emotional development. In this way, they sort of already agreed to make concessions on human rights. Humans change. Our ethics and laws change. I fear that human rights defenders and lawyers will become a vulnerable group who will be silenced if they try to raise issues. I fear that the society leaders will tell them, this is not your time, this is a new society, and you are a disturbing element.
Also, I think that rich countries will be richer and poor countries will be poorer because such things always happen after global crisis. The earth wants to show that something is wrong with us.
Now, people all over the world have the opportunity to think about their attitude towards animals and nature in general. We are seeing the effects of a massive decrease in harmful human activity. If we do not learn to take care of our planet, it will find a way to get rid of us.
We have to acknowledge that these kind of disease and viruses will increase in parallel with the climate crisis. I don't think that this is a sporadic case. In reality, it's expected that with the climate crisis, new medicine-resistant viruses will appear. The global change is that the whole world now is in crisis.
Also, I read that the new type of business that is relevant right now during the pandemic profited greatly from the situation. Things like delivery services or pharmacies, people that came up with new products that cater to people in the current situation. So there was definitely significant economic difference from all of this.
We will also have economic disruption for sure, and is directly connected to our economic's huge dependence on tourism. So I believe they will rethink what has to be done on a local level as well. It turns out that the local production is needed. It's impossible to be totally dependent on tourism as we are.
The virus has also brought changes in the value system, and the question is, what will bring this change to the awareness of humanity? What kind of code of conduct will be implemented? The ethical criteria are going to change. For example, people already do not say hello with a handshake. But the handshake is not only etiquette, it is also a way to transfer energy from a person to another. Limiting hugs and affection through physical contact will result in unhappiness, restraining this emotional interaction.
I don't know if this pandemic will be a game changer or not, but it will certainly create new discourses.
You spend your time isolated and you understand how vulnerable the human being is, no matter where they come from. The virus has proved that we never see further than the tip of our nose. We solve our trivial everyday problems and we may usually be happy with that. The most important issues remain invisible. But these months made it clear that we have to get out of our box and look at the invisible. I think our society should enlarge its horizon and its picture.